Hello and welcome to another edition of Layback with Betfair. My name's Nick Foote. I'm back in the chair this week and I'm joined by the Prince of Pakenham himself, Reece Goodwin, and the Baron of Betfair, Tommy Haylock. We're excited to preview day 2 of the championships at Royal Randwick, as well as a couple of nice races at Sandown on the lakeside as well. Reece, welcome along, mate.
Thank you, mate. Yep, good to be back. We were pretty good last week. I thought you got big shoes to fill, I feel. Good to be back. and we got
yourself on the backboard already.
Straight into it.
I'm just the host. I'm just the host, mate. I'll just steer the ship.
We've had a few of them.
It's up to the talent to bring the winners, but I also have pretty keen on a couple actually this week.
We've had a few of them, so can you stick?
Yeah, no worries.
Off air, saying how good he's been going.
My ears are bleeding. My ears are bleeding. He hasn't stopped talking about himself.
I got no idea what these blokes are talking about. Tommy, welcome along, mate. How are you tracking?
Better than the Randwick track. I'm going. That was debacle last week. We had 9.2 millimetres of rain. You were going to put in the lay bin, but I see you've backed down. 9.2 millimetres of rain, and it's gone from a soft 5 to a heavy 9.5. Or it was deteriorated way too quickly for my liking. Turnover would have been impacted negatively on the back of that, and I was really excited for last Saturday. It's one of my favourite days of racing, and I got to race 4 or 5, and I was a bit flat. So
that didn't have anything to do with not finding a winner yet.
Nah. Nothing to do with that.
It is disappointing. I thought it was low-hanging fruit to just put in the lay bin. Like, if
you're above that, eh?
Yeah, well,
so avocados aren't low-hanging fruit.
If you're in the members and you spit on the Randwick track, it gets a downgrade. So I'm not...
Someone sneezed.
Yeah, exactly right. But it's a nice little lead into the lay bin, boys, for this week. And it's a stacked edition. And Reece, we're going to go to you first because you're finally putting something in the lay bin.
Well, I had to make sure it was worthy. When I had to go, I thought it had to be worthy. And this whole centre bounce scenario in the AFL, I reckon it needs to get in the bin. I think it's just a waste of time. I just think if you've got a big game on your hands and the first bounce and it goes out of the circle and they recall, it's just a vibe killer. That's just my point of view. Obviously, there's going to be plenty of points of view on this, but I just think... And then the other thing, there's a few seconds wasted which could add up to something. And I think back to that game in Western Australia where the ball went out of bounds and there was a bit of debacle there. If there was a few seconds left on the clock, the ball would have went out of bounds and it would have been a deliberate, and there might have been a draw or a possible win on the cards. So
there are a few recalls that game was there. I might just get out my AFL umpire media bingo and tick off my bingo card because this argument comes up. That comes up every single year. Again, everyone's entitled to their opinion. It's good to see you turn up though for the lay bin.
I'm going to get Betfair to put up a market. Anzac Day, one of the biggest matches of the year, coming up.
Yep.
Recalled first bounce. You're going to be back, and
I'll be heavily invested.
You'll be heavily invested. You'll be let down as well. We'll get the market up. Betfair.com.au. I'll try that.
The only time I'll be in trouble is if Nick's taking, because he does not miss.
He doesn't. It's
one of the best in the game.
For what it's worth, I don't think we've had a recalled bounce to start the game this year, so I'm not sure what vibe killer you're watching there, Reece. Tommy, something for the lay bin for you?
Yeah. Now this is. I'm so flat. I've had a bad week, and walking home from work on Tuesday evening, nice scenic walk along the lake, Albert Park Lake, and took my jumper off from my shoulder and knocked an AirPod out, and it fell into the lake.
Oh. That's not your week.
Didn't go after it.
That is.
I thought about it. It was an AirPod Pro.
I would have loved to have seen you strip down to the Betfair board shorts that you're rocking today
and
off
the slides.
Nosedived into the Albert Park Lake.
You know you're having a bad week, but and it was slow motion too. It bounced and then just like rolled over the edge.
Oh, no.
It was sick.
You'd love to have seen it, to be fair.
I feel for that.
It's one of those had to have been there moments.
I did look around and go, did anyone see that?
Touch wood, I'm 4 years with the same set of AirPods, which I think that's defying the odds.
I reckon I'm about 3 months. So
yeah, okay.
You know you're a battling trainer when you can't even afford them.
So I reckon...
I'm going into that lake to find one of those because I'm desperate.
Are they actually waterproof? I didn't know. I should have Googled.
Yeah, that's true.
They should invent them with cords.
You're going to
AirPods with cords.
I think they're just headphones. Tommy's now going to be rocking the cab driver look with one pod in, rolling around Albert Park. Hey, speaking of Albert Park, I'm putting faux F1 fans in the lay bin this week. Good. So the influx of new Formula One fans since the Netflix Drive to Survive. It's no doubt been huge and a terrific marketing ploy.
This
it's
is
genius.
Going on Netflix soon. by the way.
Perfect.
Yep.
We'll attract plenty to Betfair. There's been plenty of other codes and sports doing this as well, and racing, obviously, with the lead up to the All-Star Mile, they're doing one as well. But I want to call out the genuine faux fans. Look, it has got some in that are now genuine fans, but there's a group of people, and a lot that getting on the socials at Albert Park last week, that it just got under my skin because they're not genuine Formula One fans. Never seen them, never heard them talk about it in their life, and now they think they're the living embodiment of Mika Hakkinen. It's like, come on, hop in the bin. You're not that big of a fan. It's okay to go.
I reckon this is a bit original. I reckon you had a stab at the NBA too, the people that were getting involved there.
No, not me.
So
that must be a different show you're on during the week.
One of the three other hosts we had.
Racing.com. Yeah, no, I buy that because tickets are through the roof, and I'm actually, and I watched all the Grand Prix, and
From behind glass, or
you're an OG fan.
I'm an OG. Like, I watch them all. I stay up and or get up in Monday mornings and watch the replays without looking at the results and stuff like that. But yeah, I'll pay that.
It's a good call because
that's true,
Tom
yeah,
Haylock watching an event not behind the glass would be
on the grass or behind the glass.
Yeah, exactly right.
But it's the same with like Australian Open and stuff like that. Like you get so many people, and it's a great event, the Australian Open, but people are tennis experts for a week and then drop off and never watch another tennis tournament.
It's spot on. You no wonder these tennis players have inflated egos. They go city to city and everyone just cares about them for that time. So, hey, speaking of athletes too, before we move on, something come across my desk from the Seymour Advertiser. We're in the presence of an athlete here, Tom Haylock. Get a look at this, mate. Reece Goodwin, this is you here.
Gee, I was
under
a
9 boys. What
then,
event was this, mate?
Oh, that was just everything, mate.
Everything.
I was an all-rounder, long jump, triple jump, 100,
It was the
hurdles.
decathlon.
Yeah, mate, I could do it all.
Jeez, I thought I might have been the only
Not much has changed either.
semi-athlete on the panel, but we've got Reece Goodwin, the under 9 boys decathlon champ here
I'm
today.
no athlete.
Oh, dear.
I went up to see your stables, and you didn't take long to drop you were an athlete.
Yeah.
Back when I came up to see my horse.
No, I'll be honest with that. Yeah. I don't
It
mind
was
talking.
about 12 seconds into our conversation.
Hey, I'm Reece Goodwin. Oh, I'm an athlete.
Hey, I love it, boys. Plenty of fun, but we have so much quality racing to dissect on today's show, and it's all going to kick off. We're going to preview the Randwick card first, day 2 of the championships. We spoke a little bit in jest about how the track played in week 1 of the championships. Tommy, we've got the rail plus 4 metres. It's currently a heavy 9. What can we expect on Saturday?
I think it'll be drying. Good conditions Saturday. I think we'll be on an 8. If someone sneezes, we might be down to a 9 again. But I think I've done the form for an 8. Drying 8, but we'll see how we go. Rail out the 4. I wouldn't be surprised if it's running line again. 2 or 3 off fence, as in the straight. They might be the fast lanes. Obviously, Canberra. We see lane 8 is usually a good lane at Randwick. So yeah, I wouldn't want to be hard up the fence. But we saw last week a few come up the inside and inside barriers. I think they won 4 out of the 10 races or 5 out of the 10 races from barriers 1 or 2. So they were advantageous last week, which is surprising.
Do we get a little bit gun shy after day 1 of the championships when the track plays like this? We got a few rough results. Does it come back to really, it's a week of staking accordingly? Is that what are your thoughts?
You've got to be adaptable and adjust accordingly. I would rather be on a 10, to be honest, than an 8 because I don't know whether we're playing for wet trackers or firm
if
horses.
It's improving towards the soft range.
You just don't know. I'd rather just be able to pen horses that can't get through heavy.
Yeah. And
is there any rail movements?
Rail out 4.
Okay, and do you still think, like, there's obviously a fair bit of wear and tear from last week.
Yes.
Do you think possibly, of course, inside played well last week, but do you think just with that wear and tear, they could be getting well away eventually? Maybe early in the card, okay, but...
Was it last year? I think it overcame down the outside.
Yeah, it was one of the great rides.
Now the rails got out 4 people, they can get out a lot wider without having to lose as much ground, so I might throw something out there at one stage. Obviously,
it might
Nash,
be worth looking.
possibly one of them too.
Yeah.
Yep. Well, let's talk about, let's get into the races, boys, and we can dissect a little bit more of this as we go. And we'll start off in race 3, which is the Group 2 Percy Sykes Stakes for the 2-year-old fillies over 1,200. Paris Dior beat home Willingabees and Lady Laguna in last year's edition. And it's a fascinating little race with just the 10 runners accepted here. And we've spoken before on this show how it can be hard to map 2-year-olds, Tommy, in terms of the speed, and there looks to be a little bit of pace on paper again in this one.
There's not a lot. We've got a New Zealander as well that comes over here with. So it is very hard to predict the speed map. You'd think Waterhouse Bot, Autumn Ballet won't be far away. The stable kick up from Barrier 1, Tim Clark, great front running jockey. I probably got her leading, but there isn't a lot of speed on paper. A few of these are back markers, so there's no horses that have led in their recent starts. Interesting race. I'll throw to you before I give my opinion on the race.
Right, well, I'd love to be able to give you more, but I don't have a lot more on it. I haven't had a really good look into this race. I've been a little bit of a fan of Lazargo, and she was good to me when she won 2 back. She's probably the class, as in what she's done till today or on Saturday, but 4 runs in her first, or 3 runs now in her second prep. She might be sort of coming closer to the end of it than the near for the 2-year-old, but you back Chris in to have her right.
She was badly checked in the Golden Slipper last start too, which you probably got to take into consideration.
That was the thing. She had no luck there whatsoever, and then she was given a really good ride 2 back. So if she can get something like that again, but again, she's probably going to be back in the field where there might not be a lot of tempo, so it might make it hard for her. But Tis Invincible, I think we were all with her at Canberra, and she ran 1400 on debut. That was a really good effort to be that deep over 1200. I thought she went super, all things considered. And then, of course, the winner of that race is here too. So I know you're a little bit invested at a nice price.
Yeah, I am.
Before what they've opened this week.
My play will actually be the late Tis Invincible place because I'm on at 101 and 26s. So
nice. Praying
she runs well. I'll just hedge a little bit to place there and get my money back from the investment. It's a good thing to do with Betfair, so I'll lay back with Betfair. Tough race. Komochi can roll forward as well, show a bit more speed. McDonald on. Probably lean to her. Now, we've seen that Black Opal race didn't rate very well. I thought Autumn Ballet was fantastic. Tis Invincible, as you said, covered a lot of ground, was trapped very wide. Started short in betting Tis Invincible. The market really came for her again. I was on at 650 or something that day, and she started 240. She started shorter than the eventual winner, Autumn Ballet, Tis Invincible. Autumn Ballet's hard to knock off that win, rises 2 kilos, but the race didn't rate very well, and the form hasn't really been franked. So I went looking for Komochi, and I probably got Komochi on top or close enough too. So tough race for me.
Yep, that's some good form. Komochi with beating Peer Pressure by 3 and a bit lengths, who went on to run 3rd in the Group 1 size as well. I'm actually going to play a little 2-bet, just a 2-better here.
Tommy 2-bet.
Yeah, a little bit. So Autumn Ballet, who was the first ever runner to win on debut in that Black Opal race in Canberra, which was impressive. I really liked to work through the line. She was running away from through the line. So
to win that race.
Yeah, so you I get where you can sit with the rating stuff, but just to the eye, she was strong through there. Drawn 1, Tim Clark. They're going to be forward in that Gay and Adrian yard. So I'm going to back Autumn Ballet. I also really like Ethereal Star, the Kiwi, at a price. So the only runner in the race that's seen a heavy track and has won on a heavy track. Yeah. So went on to run 2nd in the Karaka Million to Tokyo Tycoon as well. That's their premier 2-year-old race over there. And you've got the likes of Melody Bell, Avantage, Probabeel have won that race. So you can't just dismiss that Kiwi form coming here on a rain-affected ground. Damien Lane rode that day, sticks again. So Ethereal Star or 850 I think is a good bet too. So little Tommy for me in the Percy Sykes.
Welcome to the team.
Yep, thank you. Race number 5 is the Group 2 Arrowfield 3-year-old sprint over 1,200 metres, and seen some pretty handy ones win this race. 2002 Lonhro, 2004 Exceed Excel, and 2019 Classic Legend boys. Now,
done your research.
Yeah, I don't muck around and lay back. Arf Cabin is the race favourite here. I think he's one of the more fascinating runners on the card. So had every conceivable chance in the Randwick Guineas last start when beaten by Communist. Reece, if James Cummings handed you the keys to Arf Cabin, which I would A, find extraordinary, but B, I want to know as a trainer, what would you do? What's his ideal distance? Would you put a line through him at 1,400 plus?
Yeah, look, he's tough and no doubt frustrating. I like the setup that he's been back to the trials. But yeah, look, he did have every conceivable. I just keep, from my trainer's point of view, I just keep falling back from the bleed that he had, and I know it can get into horses' mindset. And I'm just not sure. Like, he was really good first up, and I thought he might have just pushed himself through the barrier where it might have hurt a little bit, and then he's just been battling, I feel as though, since. But I do like that he's been back at the trials, and he might have just been sort of set up for another freshness sort of run over this trip. And I think it's probably a positive back in trip more than anything.
Yep.
With the trial in between, it's like he's been set towards this. They've probably backed off him, then brought him back up. He's had a little pipe open at the trials, get a little bit of confidence back. I like him, but I probably don't want to be taking anything shorter than even money, that's for sure. But yeah, probably a smart call from James, I'd say.
Yep. Tommy, how are you assessing this one, mate?
A bit of speed here. Zoo Tiger leads from Cote, Lady Laguna out wide as well. I think only 2 horses can win this, and that's the way I'll be playing. I think Af Cabin. Love the setup, love Godolphin Fresh. I love the freshen up. Nice trial, beat Kementari there in that trial. I do think he's the best horse in the race, and I like to freshen up back the 1200. I like the setup. I don't think he stayed the mile last start, but I don't think he was as harshly. I thought he was treated harsh from the public, and a lot of people sacked him off the back of that.
Yep.
But I thought his run was okay, so it was harshly treated. I think Zoo Tiger's clearly the other one that can win. Similar form lines, obviously good in around McGuinness. Freshen up. He's had a trial since as well, won a trial nicely, blinkers on first time, races up on speed. He'll be hard to catch, so I'll be backing those 2.
Yep, so in terms of staking, Tommy, like Af Cabin, you're looking at even money likely on the exchange. The moment Zoo Tiger's around that $5 quote. Are you staking accordingly to win on both, or is it a back and a save? Or
I'll probably Dutch bet, which means win the same amount if either of them wins.
Perfect.
So you just stake accordingly. You have more on the shorter price. Some instances where I have 2 bets like this, I level stake them and have a better result if the outsider wins, because I had them both rated at a similar price. So good question.
Yep. Reece not betting in the race.
No, just a quick one. Wee Nessie, 2 from 2, heavy ground. Any interest?
Form stacked up through Parasail last week. Yep. I was pretty keen to lay Parasail last week, and I thought Wee Nessie was much better placed in that than Parasail. They're probably... This is a harder race. I would have liked to, outside the winner Magic Time, it was enormous last week, but I would have liked to see Wee Nessie contest that race last week. I thought she would have run second, based on the way Parasail won, and she had a weight swing on Parasail. So, got a chance. I just think these 2, we're talking around McGuinness, Group 1 winners.
Yeah, fair enough.
I don't think she's at that level.
Yep, I agree. She's the value in the field. I'm not playing in the race personally.
Same here.
I'll shoulder
I've
arms
got a
to that.
third for what it's worth.
Yep. All right, well, let's head to race number 6 now, which is the Group 1 Australian Oaks for the 3-year-old fillies, 2,400 metres. El Patroness won the race last year for Danny O'Brien. Boys, I've got a sort of a back lay bet track potential that I might touch on soon, but I might throw to you first, Tommy, to just give us a bit of a rundown on speed map and how you see it unfolding.
Yes, it's an interesting map because Pavitra's got the speed to roll forward, and she does have the speed J-Mac on, which is a positive booking. Barrier 2, she'll get a nice run in transit either way, irrespective. Fireburn will be back in the run. Interesting to do what do we do with this New Zealand horse as well. We saw Arts come from well back to win last week. Now, what do I do in the race? I found it pretty tricky. The Vinery Stud looked a 2-horse race, played out that way. We saw Prowess win outstandingly. Pavitra was well beaten, but she did also beat the 3rd horses in the rest of the field quite easily as well. I thought her run was fantastic. She loomed up and looked hard to beat. I think she's the one from that lead up, and it's been a good lead up into the Oaks in the past. Perosa was fantastic there, and the fastest final 200 metres of the race. Looked a really strong Oaks trial. I think Fireburn was okay, but a lot of people were saying she raced as if the 2,400, 2,500 metres, that kind of trip would suit her, but I'm more against her over this trip. Even, she's a swimmer, but swimming at 2,400 metres is another test.
Yeah, it's tough.
Right? If it was 2,000 metres, it might be better for her. She gets through the wet. But I've got the New Zealander on top. I just think the wetter the better, proven wet track record. I've gone away from that Vinery Stud form a little bit just because I thought Perosa was so good in behind and ran the fastest 200, and there was a few nice Oaks trials in it that left me querying the form of Pavitra there. And Pavitra's been one of mine the whole campaign.
Yep.
New Zealander Penny Weaker on top, and I've got Arts. Wetter the better for Arts. That win was enormous last start. And she hasn't really done much wrong. You forgive one run where she got beaten by Pavitra, but she clearly had issues. She won on debut. She came out and won extremely well last start, last weekend. Won by 4.5 lengths and dominated her rivals, ran home really well. So she's got to be a chance. And I will probably be playing those 2 and laying or more against Pavitra.
Yep. Reece?
Yeah, I'm going to go with Pia Rossa. As you mentioned, very good. Her last run, she was great through the line. She's got good wet track form. I really like that Sam Clipperton sticks with her. He's basically not let anyone else ride her whole career, so I think he's got a real liking to her. Sam won on Arts last week. Now, I don't know if he was already locked into her and then he's just had to stick with her going forward, whether he had a choice on riding Arts or P-Rossa. But look, she's drawn middle of the line. She handles wet ground. She looked like she won 2,400. Sam Clipperton sticks. These guys are great at getting horses ready for grand finals. And yeah, at that type of price, I'm happy to be with her each way.
Yeah, nice. I'm going to play. My play's dependent on the track. So, Tommy, like, we can sit here. It's tough on a Thursday predicting these conditions, because drying day, you could end up soft, you could end up a heavy 8. It just depends when the rain comes. So, if it is a 7 or worse, I'll be laying Pavitra. I just think she's got question marks all over her on a rain-affected ground. Her last run on heavy going was in the Group 1 Flight Stakes. That was in October, and I know she was a big price, but she just didn't go a yard in it. And I think Richard and Will Freeman, they'd be spewing if the Sydney weather that goes and does Sydney things.
Soft track okay for her?
I think better than a 7. I'm staying at better than a 7. So in the 6 range, I'm staying out.
Because she was good on the soft 7 in the Wakeful, but that's Flemington compared to Randwick.
This is the point, isn't it?
It's a big difference.
It's a massive difference. And yeah, there's a soft 7 and there's a soft 7, it's one of those things. So I'll be against Pavitra, a 7 or worse on the Randwick track. And then Arts, you mentioned her. She's on the quick backup from the Adrian Knox and just looked to get through the ground and extend so well. And
the 10th fastest final 200 metres of the day.
Yeah, it was
that trip. Outstanding run.
Yeah, it was a proper run. Ed Cummings was bullish in his post race too. He just minutes after he was like, "Yep, we're paying up for that spot." Yeah. So obviously wasn't in the race, hence your Clipperton point as well.
From a trainer's perspective, does that worry you that she wasn't accepted or nominated for the race to start with, or she's just come on so much? Or
possibly. My probably biggest worry is this is all going to be in her first prep on a 7-day backup from a taxing heavy track run, which might be another, taxing, it probably won't be as wet as what it was last week, but 7-day turnaround for a lightly raced filly 2024 is going to be a good ask. I'm not ruling her out. She could certainly do it, but she'll obviously, if she can do it, she's going to be a nice filly.
Yeah. Did he do something similar with Duace as well back in the...
Maybe.
Yeah, possibly. I think so, paid up late as well. So it might just be part of the move from the stable.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Nice one, boys. Good discussion. Race number 7, the Group 1 Sydney Cup, 3,200 metres, handicap conditions. And history suggests that you want to be in some sort of form heading into this race. So 17 of the past 20 runners to win the Sydney Cup have finished in the top 4 in their start prior to the Cup. So in terms of form references as well, 12 of the past 20 winners have come through the Chairmans, which is interesting because the top 4 runners this year all come through the Tancred. So it's a little bit of a red herring this year in terms of that profile and what history tells us. So Tommy, let's talk about the speed map, how the race might look to unfold, and then perhaps discuss our betting plays and how we're going to attack it.
Genuine tempo. You've got Nerve Not Verve, Kim Crankle, Nice Order, all rolling forward. So... there's about 15 of this field of 20, now 19 with Torrens out that have come through races with flashing lights on, and you said that's a great Sydney Cup trial. It's a really good Sydney Cup. As you said, the Chairman's quality has been the lead up, 14 of the last 28. You said something similar over the last 20. 7 come through that race. Surefire 1 from Jim Martini. Of that race, 2nd, 3rd and 4th horses, probably the horses I was keen to follow there. And then you've got the Group 1 Tancred with Arapaho winning. King Frankel, Cleveland were the 2 that I wanted to take out of the Tancred, and I've lent that way. I think that's the right form. Cleveland, really flashing light run, drops down 8 kilos, down to 51. Fastest final 200 metres of the race. International, had that run, 1 second up last campaign, gets through the wets, ticks so many boxes, 51 kilos off a real eye-catching run in a Group 1 Tancred last start. I'm happy to have him on top, and he's the bet for me there. The other one that is of huge interest, and I've been giving these internationals a rap. Baron Samedi.
Understatement.
The Baron of Betfair with the Baron Samedi. Look
Correct.
out.
Doesn't have to be a star to be winning this. He's 3 from 5 on heavy tracks. Joseph O'Brien, you can't knock anything he settles up. So, I don't want to lose if he wins the race. I've got Cleveland on top from him.
He's a little bit more established than Cleveland too, isn't he? Like he's had 20. I think this is his 20th. This is 20th race start. Cleveland's a little bit more lightly raced. So where's the ceiling there? Reece.
Yeah, I'm with Tommy too, Cleveland. I think that I'm sort of going along with the lines of what I was with Arts in the last race. With all these horses backing up off a testing run last week, I'd rather something a bit more fresher on the scene like Cleveland. It gets down all the exact same points Tom's just outlined. He gets down the weights. He's won over 3,800. He's won on heavy ground. I think he's been set for this year. I think he's just going to have the fresher legs. He's going to be back in the field. He's just going to get on the back of the right horses, and I think he's going to be too good for these.
Yep.
Am I saying this correctly? Your lay here in the run sheet, number 11, Cleveland.
I'm going against you guys.
Is that what I'm reading?
I'd love to hear all the points for going against him.
You're reading it right because I think $4.
But you're reading his form wrong.
$4 is a crazy price for Cleveland. Now, I completely agree with your points
Would
around
you tip him on top?
drops 8 kilos off that run, getting to handicap conditions, gets out to a desirable trip. Unfortunately, he's drawn barrier 17 and has the completely out of form Kieran McAvoy on board. Now, since 2000, the year 2000,
Is
Tom,
he out of form or is it now just that he's...
Are the horses out of form he's riding too?
well, if you want to
That's
get
what happens when I train. I just have slow horses.
if you want to get involved statistically on the back of that, go nuts at $4. But since the year 2000, only 2 runners have won the Sydney Cup from a barrier wider than 10 as well.
What were those horses? Sorry, you haven't got those?
The year 2000 and Salino in 2017, I think, off the top of my
Salino's
head.
in this, is that right?
Salino 2019 might have been.
Interesting.
Yeah, caught me off on the hop there, but still delivered.
Interrogation.
Yeah, still
Just
delivered.
like those centre bounces.
So I'm taking a set against Cleveland at $4. Now, perhaps, yeah, would I have Cleveland on top? Would definitely be in my top couple, but at $4, no thanks.
What's your price?
I haven't done my actual market, but
what
$4 just seems incredibly short.
Back him at?
Probably $5.50 to $6.
Yeah, right.
Yep.
Which you might get.
Yeah, you might. If you hold off, you might get. But at $4, this show is actually called Layback Reece. At $4, I'm prepared to lay Cleveland at that price.
Back him back.
Yep.
Maybe.
There we go.
Bigger price. At what point does Kieran McAvoy suddenly become like you
A
say
negative.
he's out of form, but he's been out of form for 2 years?
Yes.
What is it like? As in, does it?
I think he's striking at something under.
Is it now
8
just
or
a
9%.
rut? Is it now just a rut, or is it like? Is he not riding well? Is it?
Past his
form?
time.
I think it's time. Like,
Yeah.
and mate, I'm not going to sit here. I've never even been on a horse in my life, so I'm not going to sit here and tell when a champion at the turf's time's up
Reece has
in
had a few
terms of
centre
riding.
bounces.
But yeah, that's right. But the statistics would suggest, and yes, horses that you get put on, but you also get put on good rides by being in good form, and you can't have one without the other. So, yeah, look, cast is a strong word, but laying Cleveland, fellas. Race number 8, the Group 1 Queen Elizabeth Stakes. Wait for age, 2,000 metres. It's a race that both Winks and a Dave have just had a mortgage on, but last year we witnessed one of the great tactical rides, which you touched on at the top of the show, Tommy, with Nash Rawiller on Think It Over.
Still
Kerry
filthy,
Parker.
mate.
Oh, mate, I'm still on the floor. Zaki
I'll
back.
back Zaki.
Yeah, same here, mate. I'm still on the floor. This is the race of the autumn for mine, fellas. It has all the early signs of an instant classic. I know we have 13 runners in the field, but it's very hard not to just focus your attention to the top of the market. And the track condition could be crucial here, because if we are in the heavy range, does Animo run? And if we are in the heavy range, is it all favours pointing towards Dubai Honour?
Is there talk that Animo won't run?
Yes.
Is there? I haven't actually.
Yeah.
Stats say he's pretty good on it.
I know.
Failed last
They're
year
running
in
away
the
from something, you
race.
think, Tom?
Maybe.
Yeah, well. Tommy?
Laying Animo.
Huge.
Shock.
Non-winner. No.
Oh, here he is.
just like Parasol last week. And Pericles.
Half cabin.
No, I just have to be with Dubai Honour. Absolutely ran time last start, annihilated him. I think he's better than these. Genuine
Hang
wet.
on a second. So I've been put on trial for laying Cleveland, and you've just come up here and gone Dubai Honour. I just think he's better than these. He's going up against our greatest weight for age horse in Australia at the moment, Tom.
Yeah, which is no good.
Huge call.
On a global scale.
2 weeks
I
in a row,
I don't think I think he'll go to Europe and get beaten up. We saw. I know, very elegant.
He might not even make it after this weekend.
No, well, they might change plans after Dubai Honour just gives him windburn. No, I have to be with Dubai Honour on what I saw first up. He ran an exceptional time. He was 11th fastest final 600 metres on the program. Absolutely enormous. He won by 4.44 lengths to be exact. The only negative, Ryan Moore off to Tom Marquand and a genuine heavy.
Mm-hmm.
They're the two concerns, but I just think he's a world-class galloper. He came here off Group 3 form in the UK. I know he beat Baid him by close to 10 lengths when they met.
It goes okay, doesn't it?
What would Baid do to these? Like, he's come here off runs like that, getting beaten 10 lengths in Group 1s and come and beaten our weight for age horses by 5. Like, he's beaten Mwanga, Montefilia by 5. I just think he's better than these, and I'm happy to be against Animo at the price, and that's the way I'm playing the race. I can get it wrong.
Mm-hmm.
People say don't take on a champion, but I have to have an opinion, and I think Dubai Honour will beat Animo.
No, it's a fair opinion too, Tom, and I think with this I'm going to back Animo. And I know you can.
2 races in a row, you're wrong.
I know. Well, you can look at all the ratings and all the numbers you want, but as a lover of the great game with an opinion, I don't think you can ever underestimate the ability of a champion and a line chaser like Animo. He's got a huge heart. You can look at all the data and ratings, as I said, but the fact of the matter is, when he's been vulnerable over the past year, if you put a line through the Champion Stakes run, where it was just an end of prep run post Cox Plate, he hasn't put a foot wrong. And when he has been vulnerable in races and he's been asked and he looks gone, he picks up and he finds another level. So don't write off a champion, don't write off a line chaser. Animo, I've got on top to win the Queen Elizabeth.
We said last week with Miles, I don't know if you caught the show, but I said that Giga Kick was a better horse than Animo, and Miles almost fell off his chair. But on a global, you were surprised by that as well. On a global scale, I've got no doubt that Giga Kick's a better horse than Animo.
Well, we're a sprinting nation as well, so I can understand
Giga
that.
Kick could go anywhere in the world and win a race.
I can understand that point. It's like you play to your strength of your jurisdiction, right? So I understand that from that
He was
point of view.
enormous too last
But
week.
you look on the stats sheet, you can only beat what you beat.
And Animo does it. You make a fantastic point. You can only run the time he does, and he wins by half a length no matter what you put him in. He just does enough. That's why he's a champion. He doesn't have to win by 4 or 5 lengths.
You can't ride off a horse's will to win. I mean, just from even my point of view, horses with ability that if they don't want to stick their head out, they don't stick their head out. But horses that do want to find the line,
Do you genuinely believe in nonnies?
100%.
It's an argument that I'm always interested in.
They're pack animals.
Yeah, correct,
Horses
yeah.
either like being at the front of the pack or don't.
Yeah.
There is
Like-
horses that certainly would want to find the line a lot more than others.
Yeah.
And that's why they're great to find. And that's why even at the yearling sales, just finding a smart horse that's got a good head on it is good. That's why you got
Smart
to look at those
horses
things.
make them like be line chasers and.
This is the other thing though, they can be too smart.
Yeah.
And, well,
Yeah,
no,
I'm
but
not-
seriously,
Yeah.
Chautauqua, a horse that could find the line,
Yeah.
but then worked out that he didn't have to do it.
Yeah.
He did. He worked it out. He
Yeah.
worked out he was going to go home and get fed.
Yeah.
Exactly the same as he was
Yeah.
if he tried really hard.
If I run or I don't run,
Yeah.
same result.
I've done my job.
Yeah, it's
These
a
blokes
good
are going to look
job.
after me.
I
So,
love it.
Yeah.
Reece, are you betting in the race?
No, I'm happy for you boys to go head to head.
Not betting.
Yep.
No, I just want to see a great race, mate.
I love that. And great discussion.
Big watch
too.
on Unicorn Line as well, the international Japanese. Interesting profile. Form doesn't read well, but you have to respect these Japanese.
Beaten a combined 30 lengths in 2 starts on a soft 6. But again, soft 6, Japanese soft 6, soft 6 Royal Randwick soft 6. I don't know. I'm not a Japanese horticulturist. So I'm not quite sure on how the grass
an
works.
Australian
Yeah, I'm probably not either, to be fair.
Just
All right, we might move on given that. Race number 9, the Group 1 Sydney Queen of the Turf Stakes. Fillies and mares, weight for age, a mile. Nimma Lee, she put Group 1 winner on her CV last year in this race, and SP to lazy $31 on the heavy 10. 19 acceptances for this year's edition, boys. I've got a pretty strong opinion on one here, but I might let you guys discuss how you're going to see the race unfold and who you might be getting involved in.
Well, look, I'm not getting involved betting-wise. It's a great race.
You having a bet on Saturday?
Yeah, I'm going to play it smart, though. I play to my strengths in Melbourne.
Yep.
But look, big wrap on alcohol-free, handles wet ground, J-Mac rides, that's a huge tick. Interested to see how the track's playing gate 2 by late in the day. So I think we probably
make a
want
very good point.
to watch there before you start jumping in at that price. Just a great race. I've been with Roots. Love to see her run well again. 18's probably not the draw, but it might be possibly by that time of the day. So just going to sit back and watch it. So many mares here in good form, and we know what mares can do in good form. They just keep running and they can sort of take their racing to a next level. So happy to just watch. Tommy?
Waterhouse won 8 of these in the past, 5 of the last 12. She's got the favourite, alcohol-free. I've got alcohol-free on top. I haven't been impressed with the internationals running over these distances in the last couple of weeks, which is a little query. We know they're better stayers, and we know our sprinters are better than internationals. But bought for an obscene amount of money, this horse. Trialled up really nicely. She's a star. She's won a Group 1 July Cup. That's exceptional form.
Mm-hmm.
Acid test here, first up. But Jay McDonald going on, massive tick. 2 horses from the Doncaster. Hope in Your Heart's an absolute beauty. She just finds the line. She does enough. Like, she's so tough. Never runs a bad race.
She even found your Twitter. That's how good she was.
That's right. Love her. Gave her a mention. Fangirl's dependent on the track. She was good last week.
That's what I thought. Heavy 9, deteriorating Heavy 9.
Correct.
She might get a little bit better conditions. She was massive there, wasn't she?
She was good. Pride of Jenny's my best value in the race. Rolls forward, gets through wet, underrated still.
Correct.
Good stable. She'll just give her all. She'll be in the right spot.
Hard to believe she was winning a benchmark 90 at Caulfield about 6 months ago, 6 or 8 months ago. She's taken a massive leap. She was tough as nails the other week.
And she was. And 9 of these come through the Emancipation. Roots won that, obviously. A Tissue meets 2 kilos better. A Tissue was the flashing light run and a much better run, probably one of the runs of the day, A Tissue, but she's drawn inside late in the day as well. She might need a lot of luck, or they could get off the fence and she might cut the corner. But I'm more inclined to risk that race and go with the others. And I've got Alcohol Free on top from Hope in Your Hearts and Pride of Jenny, the value.
For a Group 1 fillies and mares race, are we just completely dismissing this Bayeed modern games form of alcohol-free? Like, I look at Cyrileo Miss,
I don't think we're
Levante, Hope in Your Heart, Fangirl. They're all honest enough.
There's no fillies in this race, by the way.
Oh, sorry, mares. They're all.
fillies and mares race.
Fillies and mares race. They're all honest enough competitors. But this is a genuine A1 form reference. Like these horses, like Cyrileo Miss, who I've been with and one of mine this prep, couldn't hold Bayeed's saddlecloth.
Yeah.
Like, so. How are we not, after watching Alcohol Free's trial, could not be held after the line, strong 1,200 metres, plenty of intent in it. Alcohol Free's the best bet on the card for me.
I don't mind it. She could come out and win by 5
Yeah.
and be like, yep.
Yep,
Too
I'm firmly in
buy
the
her
corner
for?
there. 10.3
To
million.
race her.
Yeah, Yulong Investments. Could that be a potential, she has won Group 1, I think, over 1,200. Is that a potential Everest? Come out and win this and get your Everest slot, Yulong Investments.
Just one quick one, statement, back onto wet ground.
Yeah, it was a little disappointing last start. And she's one of the...
Wet grounds, though.
She was one of the internationals I was talking about. She just kind of was maybe out-sprinted at that key point of time on the firmer track. But, yeah, wet ground might help her. She's a nice
Ties
mare.
in with alcohol free.
Yeah.
We're getting 50s, I think.
And we'll have something on her at that price. I mean, you'd be silly not to if she wins and you've made a case for her. Yeah, I'm a big believer of forgiving horses one bad run.
Cool.
Her form prior was fantastic and she was $4. So, you make a good point.
Massive
For a horse that's profiled at $4 and now
Next
50s,
start,
it's almost
and
just
gets
an auto
favourable
bet.
ground.
Just an auto bet.
No, good pick-up, Reece. Good discussion, lads. Race number 10, Group 2, Sapphire Stakes, fillies and mares, set weights and penalties, 1,200 metres. Bella Nipotina edged out Tricky Gal last year. Zapateo heads the market in this one after winning Group 3 company last start. Then it's a solid $10 the field pretty much. So, Tommy, you can look at it glass half full or glass half empty here. It's either a tough race to just close out and stay out of, or it's a terrific betting opportunity. I'm staying out. What are you doing?
Terrific betting opportunity. Only 3 horses can win. Zapateo clearly favourite. Will I make a lot of money if she wins? Probably not, because I like 2 horses at value. I think Expat, I've just talked about forgiving horses one bad run. This horse missed the start, was $13. I gave her a big chance to the Coolmore. Race over after
4
she
from
was
7
slowly
heavy.
right. Loves it wet, 4 from 7, 3 from 8, best ground, suits. She was fantastic in a Millie Fox. There's no electric girls here. She beat Home Roots, who came out and performed well. Her form's fantastic. She's getting $13 about a wetty. Forgive that one run. The other one that I've been waiting for, and I'm really annoyed that she's lobbed here on a bog track, Princess Grace. Trialling the house out in this mare. I've been so keen to see her jump out, but she's USA mare and she's only seen firm tracks. So huge
Tough.
Unknown. I don't want to lose if she wins the race. 3 hopes.
One of the trials was soft 6.
Yeah.
At least she's had
It's
a
hard
little
to
bit of
know.
exposure.
Like, she found the line there. She
but
found the line in
not
both
off the
of them.
bridle.
But yeah, correct. So I don't want to lose because if Waller runs her, Joe Moreira's found some form.
Back that in.
If he runs her on a wet track, I'm happy to win on the race if she wins. And I think there's only 3 chances. Princess Grace, Expat, Zapateo.
Yep. Reece?
Nothing from me from that. I'm happy to just follow Tommy. He's a Sydney expert. He'll get us out of trouble in the last.
I love it. I'll follow Tommy in the last too. You won't hear me say that too often on this show. Boys, that rounds out the Sydney card, day 2 of the Championships Royal Round Week. It's time now for our back to school segment. And this week, we're going to focus a little bit on place betting. So I want to talk about why place bet, how to stake effectively when place betting and or each way betting, and perhaps some strategies, Tommy. Is it something that you get involved in?
I do. I rarely have a place bet without a win bet, but I do like it. I know you're a fan of this, backing something to win and then maybe having more onto place. So that's probably my preferred method. I very rarely go even, level, win and place.
Yep.
It's almost a bit of an insurance as well, and a lot of people don't like place betting, but you do often find, like if something's $8 to place or something, I'll have a place bet on it, but I might have a tenth of that to win just in case.
Can't let it go around without something.
Correct,
on it,
just
yeah.
in case it wins. I mean, just for people out there, so 8 or more runners, just strip it right back. 8 or more runners, you get 3 place dividends. Between 5 and 7 runners, you get 2 places, and then 4 or less is no place market. So that's just how the rule of thumb works. Betfair has 4 to place as well, which is a great tool. So if you think your horse is going to run top 4 in certain markets, you can find that on betfair.com.au. As I said, I don't mind a place, but you get good value for place markets as well on Betfair, which is a great tool. How about you?
Yeah, definitely. I'm big on I'm a big 1x3 better. If I find something at a nice price with around that even money, 2 to 250 place bet, and I like the horse to win, well, you'd be mad not to get involved from there. But I do like to get a return on my place betting, not just having it as an each way and a saver type bet. So I place bet a lot. I think it's a really good way to be a profitable punter if you are keen on something to win in the race.
I think the key there is to just track your results, work out what works for you. You don't have to be too strict, but just work out what works and follow that method.
Yep, for sure.
Do you do it?
Yeah, I'm pretty much in this category, very much a 1x3. Because I'm very much a sort of a better odds punter. So,
You like your roughies?
Yeah, correct. So, I'm probably thinking they're more of a place chance than anything, but I certainly won't let them go around.
It's
with
pretty
something on
bad.
the win.
It'd be a horrific feeling if you punch home a $51 shot and you have nothing on it for the nose. So
Or if it's unlucky and runs second and you got the race right,
yes,
but you don't win.
That's the other part.
I'll put my hand up. I got this wrong last week. I had something the win just virtuous circle.
Oh,
I felt sick after it because he was home up about the 200.
Loomed.
Yeah. It ran 2,600. It was a good run.
Yeah.
I also, just because we're talking about Betfair, I don't mind laying to place either.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
So
I've done a little bit of that.
You don't have to risk much in these place markets for profit. You can lay place. I'll lay Tis Invincible just to hedge a little bit, as I said earlier in the program, because I got her at $26 to place. So, yeah, it's just a little nuance and a beauty of Betfair.
Nice, boys. Hey, it's time to head to our Victoria races. This is where Reece fires up and does his best work.
Finally.
Sandown on the lakeside, Tommy, this week. Currently, rail's going to be true, and currently the track is a good 4. Bit of rain around.
Yes.
What are we expecting?
Who knows? They were expecting a track upgrade at Randwick last week and ended up on a 10. So you just don't know. It'll be soft, just varying degrees of soft and how much
Depends if it rains on the day too. If we get it all sort of tomorrow and we get a nice day through Saturday, it'll be pretty good. But anything that rains throughout the day is just going to be deteriorating ground.
Do your form on a soft, be adaptable, be willing to adjust.
Always plays a little bit leaderish, the lakeside. You probably wouldn't want to be too far back,
correct,
given this profile. Race number 7, Group 3 Victoria Handicap, over 1,400 metres. Ayrton fought off the Old Boy Streets of Avalon to claim last year's edition and is looking to go back-to-back this year. He shares $5 favouritism with a Clement So, who returns from a couple of eye catches at Rose Hill in Group 3 company, but attacks 1,400 metres for the first time. You've got Cardinal Gem, Buffalo River, Pinstripe, Lady of Honour, not an option. Other runners there at the top end of the market. Boys, what are we doing?
Yeah, look, tough race. Buffalo River obviously rolls forward. He's some speed there. He's going to love any sort of sting out of the ground.
Is Lady Ivana cross?
Yeah. This is a much better setup. I'm with her because this is a much better setup than what it was at around the Valley. I laid her at the Valley, even though I like her, but this is a much better setup. She's drawn off the track. She'll get to come across at her own leisure. I'd like to think she'll either find the top or she'll be outside leader. She loves sting out of the ground. She's unbeaten second up. Harry Thomas Coffee in the saddle. She's terrific value at around that sort of $10, $11.
1 second up last campaign, 2 off a similar run.
Yep.
I love that you laid it first up and here with it because
it's just a different Moonee Valley to Lakeside. It's just a whole different scenario. She drew one. She didn't draw one. I think she drew inside 3 at Moonee Valley, and it was just.
She drew 3.
Yeah, I didn't like it. I didn't like it at all. So we were able to get the chockies there, and hopefully she can turn it around going into this.
There looks to be a little bit of pace. Buffalo River's not backwards in going forward, and Call Sign Mav also pushes forward as well.
Yep.
So, and then we've obviously got who's the other speed involved?
Kicking off. Clement Selby, and then Typhon.
Best case scenario, I think, is no one sort of would want to go with Buffalo River because he's just a bit rogue. He'll do whatever he wants. So I think best case scenario, we sort of be able to sit off him. But look, great race. I mean, Cardinal Gem. Didn't have any luck last start. Loved sting out of the ground. Could probably turn the tables on not an option. Frankie Pino, I tipped him first up at the Valley. He was super there. I'm worried about where he's going to be in the draw. He's going to have to need from the draw. He's going to need a lot of speed, which he might get here to be able to run on. But he's going well, no doubt about that. Pinstripe probably needs to stop laying in so he can run straight and finally win another race. He's got stacks of ability. Clemenceau obviously got stacks of ability too. So it's a deep race, and that's why I was happy just to go each way odds with Lady of Honour.
Tommy, you like Clemenceau. First crack at 1400.
Huge concern. That's the biggest concern for me. But if they're ever going to try Clemenceau at 1400, now's the time. Third up, soft draw, perfect run, just lobs, perfect position. Doesn't have to do any work in the run. Fantastic home last start. The last 200 of the race wasn't as good as I would have liked to seen from a ratings and time perspective. He ran the third fastest 600 metres of the day, second fastest final 800 metres of the day, but his 200 wasn't that good comparatively to the day. So
because he ran those fast sectionals you just said, did he use too much?
Potentially
and that took
to
away
get
his
into
finish,
the race.
and that's why he's going to get the right run where he won't have to use up too much between the 800 and the 400.
He mapped well. It was a really slowly run race as well. So the times and the splits were always going to be pretty good comparatively on the day home. But I would have liked to have seen him just go a little bit faster, and he just kind of peaked. But now's the time. He gets 1400 metres, soft run. 1400 metre races are completely different to 1200 metres. They do generally go slower as well, which might suit him. A lot of people, and you might have heard this, a lot of people don't think 1400 metre races are a bigger step for sprinters.
Because it's that real middle spot between 12 and 16 where a lot of horses are probably sourcing where they're going to go to. Are they going to go further or not? So generally they are, I find, slowly run races because there's a lot of horses stretching out to see if they run it.
Yeah.
So it'd be interesting here, like this, if Buffalo River rips along like he can, it might actually be a testing 1400, which will find a lot of these out.
Correct.
So it'll be interesting to see how it all plays out.
Yeah, I've just got Clemenceau on top. Whether I have a big bet in the race or not, probably unlikely.
Yep.
And the map's key. I went looking for Frankie Pino as well. Blankers went on first up, which was amazing for a horse that had 21 starts at 6-year-old, and it was enormous last start.
Well, I found Frankie Pino. He's the one I want to be with here. I think he's such a good roughie. $20,
price,
$5.
It is a silly price.
It's a 1 by 3.
It's 100%. It's a 1 by 3.
I just want to make sure the track's playing okay.
Yeah, where he gets to.
You could get to this race 6 races through and he'd just have no chance.
Yeah, definitely. And that probably is in the price a little bit as being on the lakeside. But he was hampered last start too by that fall in the Able Stakes. But the way he picked back up and his work through the line, was screaming for 1400 and has never missed the money from 7 goes at 1400 metres as well.
It's cast.
We'll
talk about that later.
I think with the barrier too, barrier 13, like it's not really an issue because it's sort of offset by his pattern. He tends to step slow, so I'd prefer to see him draw 13 than 1 or 2.
Yeah,
so I think he'll be rocketing late if the track affords him that opportunity to do so. And Frankie Pino's a great bet, $20, $5. So I'll get involved there, boys. Race number 8, that's the last race we're going to take a look at. It's the Group 3 Easter Cup 2100 metre handicap. Milford won it last year. Hangman 2021, Inverloch 2020. Look, I'm not going to bet in the race. It looks to me that White Marlin is just clearly the best horse in the race with the most upside. He's up to his eyeball in Melbourne Cup future markets. It's just how wound up does he have to be to win a race like this? I have him on top, but betting.
Yeah, look, he probably wants to deal with these pretty easy if they want to go to where they're going. I think he goes, is it Andrew Ramsden next, and that gets his ticket into it. So he probably wants to be going very close to beating these, and then obviously win the Andrew Ramsden. I'm certainly not going to go against him. I won't be laying or anything like that. But Barb Raider, she you'd probably say she's going mediocre to what maybe hype she had, but she finally gets back up over 2,000. Now the last time we saw her past 2,000, she was a length behind Gypsy Goddess in the Oaks in Queensland, which probably is an outstanding form, but it shows that she does run that trip. She loves sitting out of the ground. Her runs, all this prep would show that she's certainly looking for further. Espiona form first up, where she looked like she wanted further. Cirilio Miss is obviously well in the markets in Sydney. And then both times Cirilio Miss her last two. I like that she's drawn low. She's going to get a soft run in behind them up to 2,100. She shouldn't be far away from the speed on the lakeside. And I thought good each way value, but obviously, very much a 1x3 play, because I think White Marlin, he'd want to probably be dealing with these to be going where he's going.
What price, Barbara?
14s.
I hope she's had her heart repaired after Cirilio Miss broke it.
Well, agree. Look, Cirilio certainly had her covered, but I felt as though she looked the first gone and was going to run closer to last than what she did. I thought she actually battled away okay.
Yep.
And really, that was her third up run. She was stayed at 1,600. I thought she was screaming out for a bit further. So this will be, if she doesn't go any good in this, then she probably is cast.
Yep. I'll never go against anyone for a 1x3 play.
I might lay it a place.
Yeah.
And I say that sincerely. I just don't like the 3-year-old filly form that we saw. I think this is another kettle of fish as well. She's only just going for mine. White Marlin. I saw the trial in Sydney and was like, couldn't back White Marlin. Then you go and have a look at the Flemington jump out. What's going on here? I don't think it
goes that way.
I don't think I've seen a stronger jump out in my time. It was given a huge test.
That's a huge call from the trial king.
I'm not saying quality wise, just stronger hit out. 400 metres after the post, it was still being ridden.
Yep.
It was an unbelievable jump out.
That's the team. They'll do stuff like that.
They've given this horse.
Well, that's the thing. They probably didn't. I'm assuming Flemington don't have anything than 1,000-metre jump outs.
Yeah.
So he's had 2 1200s in Sydney, and Gay's just taken it into our own hands and said, Geordie, make sure you give him a good hit out past the line.
Yeah.
And that happens a bit. So I
it was a
bit
of a soft trial in Sydney. It was a 1,200 metre trial, but Duke de Sessa had his measure clearly.
Still getting over that.
Yeah, huge go, Duke de Sessa.
Wasn't it?
That Flemington jump out, outstanding, shows huge intent. I don't mind the barrier, leaves them no options. They'll go forward. Jordan Child's got an incredible strike rate in riding for this camp, so he'll roll forward and be hard to beat. And I've got him clearly on top. I think he's better than these.
I just want to touch on Right You Are as well.
Non-winner.
This guy. We talk about, ratings, where they're going versus horses that have just been up and just keep going to the well and doing it. Right You Are. What a preparation. $4 in this market. Probably different gravy to White Marlin here. But again, you can't write off the camp and the versatility of this horse, Tommy.
You can't at all.
So he was scratched out of the Australian Cup due to a quarter crack. So that really concerns me.
Okay.
Quarter cracks. Yeah, interesting. It could be very minor, but I'd be treading carefully, that's all, just from one of those.
Good insight, Reece. I won't be betting in the race, but excellent insight. That rounds out the card at Sandown for us, boys. Let's head to Bella Anderson now for her horses to watch across the weekend.
Hey guys, great to be back for another week of layback with Betfair from the Mounting Yard. And only one bet for me this weekend, but it comes up at Randwick, my old stomping ground, race 8. Animo, the big A. I want to be on him this weekend to win his last ever race in Australia. Makes me quite emotional to think that this is the last time we'll be seeing Animo race in Australia. I've absolutely loved watching him throughout his career, and the reason why is because he is the perfect thoroughbred. He is undoubtedly one of the best horses I've ever seen in the Mounting Yard. I think he's the epitome of what a thoroughbred should look like. I've seen Winx, I've seen Black Caviar, and I think Animo is the best looking thoroughbred I have ever seen throughout my time doing the Mounting Yard. he's perfect. He's well balanced. He is well structured. He has muscle where you want him to see. He's got strength in the right areas. He's got this huge girth that stores that unbelievable engine we know he has. He's got this head that is simply magnificent. He's so handsome. He's got this huge jaw, a really good solid structure on him, these eyes that are just so intelligent. He just has this presence about him that's not only handsome, but he just has quality written all over him. And one of the main things that I think characterises the perfect thoroughbred is the way Anamoe walks. He has this stride that is simply phenomenal. It is the stride of a champion, and he is a champion. When you see Anamoe walk, I call him a panther, and it's a phrase that can be used quite loosely in racing, but I strictly use it on a very special horse, and I think Anamoe is that. The way he walks is loose, he's supple, he stretches out over an enormous amount of ground. He just gracefully flows around the mounting yard. It's so beautiful to watch, and the way he walks is really special, and I think he is a champion. I think he's a special horse. The team are going to have him cherry ripe for his final run in Australia, and I'm really keen to back Anamoe to win his last race in Australia.
Thanks for that, Bella. It is now time for us to get into our best backs and our best lays for the weekend. Reece, we might kick it off with you, mate. What's your best back for the weekend?
Going against you, which is good, so that gives me a bit of confidence. Sydney race 7, number 11, Cleveland. I think he'll be putting away that Sydney Cup field. And then my best lay, I'm going to go with my old mate In the Boat. He's running at Sale tomorrow in the Discovery, which I think he won the first running of the Discovery.
He did.
A lot of speed.
Yeah, I think the jury's out on him. I know he close enough to won the other day at Moonee Valley, but there was a fall when he got run over by She's All Class. I don't think She's All Class is going to be worrying about the Discovery. So happy to take him on again.
I was with you when we laid in the boat, and you're playing with fire going there again. Tommy, best backs, best lays.
Sticking money where my mouth is. Dubai Honour, best bet. At a day I found it very hard to have best bets. I'm pretty keen on a few races where I'll play 2 or 3 horses, but just as a standalone bet, Dubai Honour for me, and I am...
Anamoe would have to be your best lay.
I'll lay Anamoe. Why not?
Yep.
Lay of the day.
Well, we either completely win or completely lose in that formula, my friend.
Could be a strip.
My best back...
And just for the record, I would love to see Anamoe win.
No. You can't have any of that. You've been buying him for the last 3 weeks.
No, I'd like to see him win. I'd rather Dubai Honour win. But if he wins, I'll just applaud, and that is brilliant.
Some of the most on-the-fence stuff you'll ever see there, listeners, viewers. My best back for the weekend is race 9, Sydney, number 1, alcohol-free, for all the reasons that I mentioned throughout that segment. And my lay, I'm against you guys in the Sydney Cup. I'm laying Cleveland, and I am going to strut in like Conor McGregor on next week's
you won't,
show.
because you're not here next week.
Yeah, true. I might have to roll it out in 2 weeks' time then, boys. But
I will see you next Thursday night in Adelaide.
Yes.
It's all right, boys. I'll be here. I'll hold the team together once again.
Standard.
As always, guys, well, that's the show for the week. And as always, gamble responsibly. You're likely to lose more than you win. If you do need help, 1-800-858-858. All the best on the weekend. I look forward to seeing you guys in a couple of weeks' time.
Imagine what you could be buying instead. For free and confidential support, call 1-800-858-858 or visit gamblinghelponline.org.au.